So it comes full circle, feeling nostalgic about a certain online critic. Okay, here we go. If the video title hasn't made it obvious already, I'm gonna pay tribute to the one guy who helped influence a generation of internet critics and content creators. I'm of course talking about the one, the only, Nostalgia Critic. What can I say about this guy that hasn't been said already? The good, the bad, and whatever demo reel was. Love him or hate him, he certainly left his mark and created a legacy for himself as one of the many faces of online reviewers. Heck, he's even been referenced in pop culture, appearing in anime, the SpongeBob spin-off, and even making a cameo on Smiling Friends.
Hello, I'm Daniel the Demon Slayer. I slay demons so you don't have to.
But I'm not here to talk about the history of one Douglas Walker or his many exploits. Instead, I'm going to count down my favorite episodes from his online persona. It's been almost 20 years and there's a multitude of content from this guy. I think now's the time to make one of my many opinions be known for the whole internet to hear. Before we start, I want to go over a few rules first. Firstly, I'll only count videos that feature the Nostalgia Critic character. Things like sibling rivalry or first viewing won't count, since that's just Doug as himself. Secondly, if multiple episodes can fit into one category, they'll count as a single entry. There's been many episodes that share a specific theme, or they're part of a unique event, so it makes sense to group them together. And lastly, I'm not counting the channel Awesome Movies, for the obvious reason that, well, they're movies, not episodes. Okay, with that out of the way, these are my top 11 favorite Nostalgia Critic episodes. Why top 11? Because it's a video about the Nostalgia Critic. Duh. Now, let's go! Number 11. The top 11 episodes. Yeah, great way to start the list with a very inspired choice, right? And the reason why it does top 11 instead of the standard 10?
Because I like to go one step beyond.
Okay, but in all seriousness, I do really enjoy watching one of these whenever they come out. The main reason being, I just really like seeing how different people's rankings on certain topics can be. The things one person values the most can be completely different from another, and the critic is no exception. He's done lists for things you would normally expect, like the best Disney villains, best movie sequels, best trailers, and so on. But then he does something unique, like the funniest Shyamalan moments, movies saved by the ending, and poorly aged Bill Cosby commercials. Odd, perhaps, but still a ton of fun. I guess if I had to pick my favorite one, it would probably be the top 11 F-Ups trilogy. I know everyone makes mistakes, but I had never seen anyone, especially an online content creator, make a video solely dedicated to their biggest slip-ups. It makes me respect Doug more, because even he can admit he isn't perfect. I guess in his own way, he does prove himself by going that one extra step.
That was forced. Shut up! You shut up! Next number!
Number 10. The animated Titanic trilogy. That is something I never thought I would have to say. But to be honest, it's not an actual trilogy, since different studios made the first two movies with only one of them getting a sequel. However, the one thing all of them have in common is that they take many artistic liberties when adapting the story of the Titanic for an animated medium. What kind of liberties, you may ask? A rapping dog, a giant octopus, and Atlantis. I think that's all I need to say, and the critic still has the unfortunate pleasure of watching it all. Just seeing his reactions to all this unfiltered madness is what makes these so funny to me. These movies are so bad that he made it a tradition to drink a large bottle of Jaeger with each passing one. And honestly, can you blame him? I'm just thankful there's no fourth installment. Could you even imagine that? You know what? No, I should just be thankful and move on.
Show's canceled!
Number 9. The Stephen King saga. In my opinion, an element that became a big part of the Nostalgia Critic's identity is his love-hate relationship with Stephen King. Not so much with King himself, but rather with the overused tropes in his stories, and of course, the worst adaptations of his work. That's why every Nostalgia-ween, which are the Halloween-themed videos during October, he makes sure to review at least one King-related project. I'll be honest, this was my introduction to Stephen King. I never heard of him before until I watched the It miniseries review, and safe to say, I would never have known any of these existed. Maximum Overdrive, Children of the Corn, Dreamcatcher, and so on. Probably my favorite of these would have to be the top 11 Stephen King movies. Just to clarify, this is my favorite Stephen King-related video, not my favorite top 11 list. In any case, it's my favorite because it shows that, for all his criticisms, Doug can appreciate and praise the good adaptations of someone else's work when they're done right. Now, sadly, 2024 was the first year without a Stephen King video, breaking the yearly tradition and instead reviewing the animated Ronald McDonald Halloween special. On the one hand, that sucks, because it seemed like an essential part of Nostalgia-ween. But on the other hand, it's also perfectly understandable, since there's only so many truly notable ones he can do before hitting total burnout. Plus, he's not done doing them altogether, since he just recently reviewed The Monkey for Nostalgia-ween 2025. He's just doing them whenever he feels like there's one worth talking about, which I think is totally fair. Better to leave them wanting more than to leave them wanting less.
Happy flushing.
Number 8. The editorials. When Doug announced he was returning as the Nostalgia Critic, one of the conditions he made for himself was that a new review would come out every 2 weeks. However, to fill the spot in between that time, he would usually post a mini review, or in this case, an editorial.
Reviews every 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Maybe every other week I can do a mini review or a film editorial, but if we still want these jokes to still be fresh and funny, I need more time on them, and that's going to be 2 weeks.
So be it.
The best thing about these videos is that they're not bound by the usual film critiquing format. He's just giving his opinions on different pop culture topics, and I think he does a good job, not just being informative, but also giving insightful commentary. Again, it's hard to pick from this category. Talking about the medium of animation, the brilliance of Tom and Jerry, method acting, the rating system, why live-action Disney remakes suck. But I think my favorite would have to be the Why Do We Holiday Too Early editorial. He pretty much sums up my thoughts on the holiday craze, which I'm pretty sure a lot of other people have too. We get way into the festivities and the commercialism gets out of control. No kidding, it wasn't even the middle of July last year, and I already saw this at my local Costco. A giant skeleton prop and a bunch of Halloween decorations next to it. Seriously, there is such a thing as too soon. Regardless, it's great to see things from another point of view, and you can expect a lot more of these to come.
Except this, your thoughts were right about that.
Number 7. The Last Airbender. This was one of the new reviews that came out the same year Doug returned as the Nostalgia Critic, and it didn't disappoint. Considered by many as one of the worst live-action adaptations ever made, he looks over M. Night Shyamalan's cinematic interpretation of Avatar: The Last Airbender. If it wasn't already obvious, he spends the entire review tearing it apart. But what makes it enjoyable for me is how he does it. I think an issue a lot of people have with the Nostalgia Critic, and most online reviewers in general, is that they don't offer much in terms of legitimate criticism. They instead take the easy route by over-exaggerating their outrage to get more attention. That's not the case for this review. Not only does he point out why many of the changes made for the movie don't work, but also exemplifies how it fails as an adaptation by not understanding what made the original so beloved. It also helps that Doug himself did a vlog series reviewing each episode of the original show. He's always at his best whenever he's truly passionate about what he critiques, and seeing as how the series became one of his favorite shows of all time, it was only fitting that he would be the one to bring some balance to the franchise.
Enjoy your incredibly awesome show and enjoy hating your incredibly awful movie.
What is your
Number 6. The annual theme month reviews. Near the beginning of the year, the critic reviews movies and shows related to a certain topic for the whole month. Now, originally, theme month took place at the start of the year in January, but was later moved to March in 2018, and stayed that way since. The reason being, Doug just got tired of doing it right after Nostalgiaween, the annual commercial special, the big Christmas review, and Disney-cember. That's 5 big projects back to back, 1 month after another. So yeah, I don't blame him for wanting to take a little break from it all. Still doesn't change the fact that these are always fun to watch. Even though most of them focus on the films of a specific franchise, like Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman, there are ones with more unique motifs, like bad sequels, Nicolas Cage, and Shyamalan himself. Yet again, being forced to pick my favorite one, that honor goes to Matrix Month. I loved watching the Matrix movies when I was younger, and I still do, but that doesn't mean I didn't start to notice their flaws the older I got. This wasn't a problem for the critic, since he has expressed his dislike of these films in the past. These reviews are also distinct visually because of the green color scheme mimicking the movies. I don't know what this year's theme will be, but I'm sure whatever choice he makes, it'll fulfill that purpose.
I don't think that technically makes sense. That's the Matrix in a nutshell. Now go!
Number 5. Food Fight. One of the few movies to truly break him, both mentally and emotionally, the critic looks over one of, if not the worst, animated movie ever made. Do I even need to say anything? The movie speaks for itself. This animation is atrocious. The fact that it had a $65 million budget and this is the final product? The opening alone is enough to indicate how bad this movie is going to be if the critic himself already starts off as an emotional wreck. Also, nice parody of Batman Returns, which I didn't get the first time I saw it. The fact that it's also supposed to be a comedy and fails miserably at it doesn't help. Fart jokes, every negative stereotype, and all the heavy sexual innuendos you can think of. Not much to say for this one. It's just funny seeing one man's descent into madness and warning those who dare to push their luck.
All I have to say is, be strong, be brave, beware.
Number 4. The TV block programming saga. For the younger people who are more into streaming and don't watch traditional TV anymore, block programming is a scheduled series of shows, united with a target audience in mind. So, essentially, the critic is doing mini-reviews of different shows grouped together in some way. Even though he has talked about some of these shows in past videos, he usually summarizes his original thoughts or adds to them by sharing new pieces of trivia, like with Batman the Animated Series, Animaniacs, and X-Men. Even with the shows he didn't grow up watching, he had the rest of his cast and crew help him out by giving their own thoughts and summaries on the ones they watched. My favorite one of these would probably be the Kids WB review. It might be a personal bias on my part, since it has the most shows I'm familiar with, but it's still enjoyable nonetheless. I don't know if he has another one of these planned or what it's going to be about, but I'll still watch it regardless. Number 3. The Cartoon Network bumpers. This is one of the new segments that came up once and hasn't been brought back since. There's even a joke about it in the video.
And welcome to a brand new segment! Maybe. I don't know. Might be a one-off to like ADD to something else. It's Bumper to Bumper!
But that's beside the point. Here, the critic looks over the many bumpers, or at least the most popular ones, made for the Cartoon Network channel. If I'm being totally honest, these are the type of nostalgia critic videos I like the most. You'd come to expect reviews of movies and shows, but who would think to review TV bumpers? Transitions that only last a few seconds in between shows and commercial breaks. The bumpers themselves are great too, many of them featuring classic characters from the Cartoon Network lineup, like Scooby-Doo, the Flintstones, the Powerpuff Girls, and many more in funny scenarios. There's just this laid-back quality to it, not worried about some big event, just enjoying something small and comforting. Short and sweet, what's not to like? Although, while we're on the subject... Hey Doug, if you plan to do another bumper-to-bumper segment, might I suggest the classic boomerang bumpers? They're just so nostalgic and memorable, I need someone to talk about them. Please.
What?
Number 2. The commercial specials. The title says it all. It's just the critic looking over commercials and giving his thoughts on them. To think, this all started because he was going through a bit of an identity crisis.
God, is this the only thing to bring me pleasure? Just pure pathetic nostalgia? I'm a wreck!
It's like what I was saying before. Who would ever think to make a series of videos talking about small pieces of advertisement? It's just what he does, and I'm thankful for it. Not only does he look over commercials from the 80s and 90s, but also a few modern ones. A lot of these I recognized, like for Dino Riders, Eggo Waffles, and Capri Sun, just to name a few. I also think it's funny how the title of each special is a reference to movie titles from different film franchises. Out of all of them, my favorite would have to be Curse of the Commercials. This one came out during the pandemic, and with almost everyone having to work from home, it felt like the critic going back to his roots. It also has my favorite commercial segment with Wilkins Coffee.
You can't persuade me to drink Wilkins instant coffee. Oh, okay. Just a stab in the dark.
Making the coffee bean version of Kermit into a deranged killer is just so funny to me. Considering that there's no theme for the month of November, these specials are the closest thing to a Thanksgiving tradition, and I look forward to them every year. What else can you say but commercials? However, if I could make one suggestion for the next commercial specials, I would highly recommend the Bionicles commercials. Please. Before I get to my favorite episode, I wanted to list a few honorable mentions. Tom and Jerry the movie, the first Nostalgia Critic review I ever saw and what got me into watching more. The Room, everyone's made fun of it, and this is one of the first videos I think of when the movie's mentioned. The old versus new episodes, a great idea comparing the original and remake to see which is better. Catwoman, one of the first reviews during the critics' comeback, and I think it was a nice return to form. Disney-cember, even though he does review Disney-related media, it's Doug Walker as himself, not the Nostalgia Critic. The review must go on. I didn't include it on the list because it's actually the series finale to demo reel. The review must go on review. Again, funny to see Doug mock himself, but this was a DVD exclusive first, and was later posted online, which is why it's only an honorable mention. Alright, now on to my number one pick. And my number one favorite Nostalgia Critic episode is The Nutcracker in 3D and Wacko's Wish. Okay, look. I know it seems like a cop-out to have two videos at the top spot, but just hear me out. For The Nutcracker in 3D, Rachel returns asking for help to make her dark interpretation of Home Alone, bewildering the critic and forcing him to review the film in question that inspired her. It's the story of the Nutcracker, with elements of World War II thrown in. I think it speaks for itself. In Wacko's Wish, the critic reviews the movie that served as the finale for the original Animaniacs series, even inviting one of the co-directors and series creator Tom Ruegger to talk about the film's production. To answer the big question, why did I put these two in the same category? At first glance, they seem completely different. One review is about an animated film, and the other looks at a grim retelling of a classic story. Well, if you pay close attention, they both have a very similar message. That being, what does a work of art convey? Doug always tries to come up with some important moral for the big Christmas review of the year, and I think these are the ones that stick with me the most. In the case of The Nutcracker in 3D, it's more about the intention of the artist and how they can alienate their audience with a bad impression. For Wacko's Wish, it's more about how fictional characters can resonate with so many people, to the point where they can even almost seem real. The endings are what really bring it home for both. After making and publishing her movie, Rachel gets a brutal reality check when everyone despises her version of Home Alone, proving that shock without value is meaningless. The critic further proves this point by revealing that he never dropped an F-bomb in any of the 2018 reviews up to this point. This was done in honor of Doug's late mother, Sandra Walker, who didn't like him saying the F-word so much. He did it to show he didn't need to rely on it, and that people watch him for more than that. Onto the other point, after finishing Wacko's Wish, the critic talks about how much the Animaniacs characters mean to him, and how they helped him get through tough times growing up. He also had the rest of his cast and crew name the characters that felt real to them, and how they impacted their lives. That's the power of fiction. Even if it's not real, it can still inspire. And I know I'm a few years late to this, but the Nostalgia Critic is a character that felt real to me. He was one of the first content creators I ever saw, and the one that spoke to me the most. I loved watching so many movies and shows growing up, but I never thought someone could make an online show sharing their opinions on them. He's one of the reasons I got into filmmaking, and even give this online channel thing a try. Oh, and I also hope he reviews all of the other reindeer and Bahumdug as part of his Christmas reviews this year. So yeah, The Nutcracker in 3D and Wacko's Wish are my favorite reviews, and I can't wait to see more of The Nostalgia Critic in the future.
I'm the Nostalgia Critic guy, remember? So you don't have to.
And that's my first video done. You know, I kind of have this weird feeling of accomplishment. Well, thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoy more of my videos in the future. Hey, wait a minute, I just realized, I went the whole video without even telling you guys my name. Well, you know, again, if the title of the video hasn't spoiled it for you, let's just pretend that it's a whole big epic reveal. So just give me a second. I am just another online reviewer. Oh, and one last thing before I finish the video. I also have a list of the top 5 people I want to react to this video. Okay, here they are. Renegades React, The Duck Goes Moo, Storm Degree, Annie of the Vanoss Crew, and Doug Walker himself. Like and subscribe for more. See ya!